Yo, 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 what's going on? What's poppin', ladies? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. So in this video, I want to tell you something that you're probably not going to want to hear, but if you listen to what I'm saying, you are definitely going to succeed in having a long-term relationship, getting a boyfriend, getting married, having kids, and all this other stuff, right? Now, what you have to understand is this. Is that if you actually want that type of relationship, you want something that's going to last long, you want something that's going to, be of substance, you have to settle. You have to settle. I know everyone's saying, oh, no, don't settle, girl. Wait for that type of guy or the right. No, you have to settle. Now, let me say this. I want you to understand when I say settle, right? What I'm saying is that you have to have a relationship with a man where it's going to work out realistically. So a lot of times the reason why you have issues, like keeping a man, right, is because you're unrealistic when it comes to this type of situation. So the reason why I say you have to settle is because in most cases, right, you're not going to get the fantasy type of guy that you had in your head. You're not going to get that guy in most cases. And what happens is that if you're chasing that dude, right, you're going to 99% of the time be disappointed. Now, I'm not saying that this can never happen. I'm not saying it's impossible to happen. I'm just saying that, it's most likely not going to happen, right? So, let's look at, for example, the lottery. You could win the lottery, but what are the chances? You understand what I'm saying? Most likely you're not going to win. You understand? There's people who play lottery for decades and never win anything. You understand what I'm saying? So, but again, you could win the lottery, but let's not bank on that. Let's be realistic here. You understand? Now, when I say settle, I don't mean be with someone that you don't want to be with. What I'm saying is that you're with a man you want to be with, but he may not be the perfect type of guy. That's what I'm talking about with settling. So what happens is a lot of y'all have this idea of this perfect dude that you might want or whatever. And in a lot of cases, he doesn't exist. Or if he does exist, he's not in it's not a large variety of those men around for that to go around. So let's say 95% of women, want this fantasy type of guy, right? But let's say 95% of guys are not that guy. So what are your chances of getting that 5% when 95% of women want that? So let's say the 5% who are that, they're all snatched up. They're in a relationship or they're just, out of here playing the field, whatever, but you don't have access to them. So what happens is that you have the other, 95% of guys who are not that fantasy dude. So you're going to have to settle. So again, when I say settle, I'm not saying that you need to, get in a situation where you don't like the guy, you're not attracted to the guy, and you're just like, well, let me just stick with this guy because I have no choice. And no, I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is, let's say, for example, I'm gonna just use this as an example so you just understand what I'm saying. Let's say, for example, in your mind, you're like, a guy that I'm with who I'm going to marry, he needs to be at least 6 feet, right? Now, the funny part is that, most of the population are not 6 feet, right? So let's say you meet a guy and he's 5'10", 5'9", 5'10". And mind you, you're 5'4". You understand? So when I say settle, what I mean is that you might need to say, okay, well, yeah, I would prefer a guy 6 feet, but I'm willing to deal with the guy or get with the guy who's 5'9", 5'10", because that opens and broadens the amount of options you have to make something happen. Now, you could sit there and wait for a guy to be 6 foot, And I'm not saying that it can never happen, but what I'm saying is that what you're doing is when you have this sort of specific idea of, oh, he needs to be this, he needs to be that, you have to be realistic about what it is that you're going to get when it comes to the dating game. And the problem is with a lot of women are completely unrealistic, because what happens is, because a lot of guys want to have sex with you, you have this inflated, sort of ego, because you have a lot of guys who are interested in you sexually. So therefore you assume that you can get that fantasy guy you want to actually settle down with you, to be with you. Now, again, it's not impossible, but most likely it's not going to happen. So what happens is you get the 6-foot guy who wants to have sex with you. So you assume that you can get the 6-foot guy to want to be in a long-term relationship with you, right? Which isn't true. Because what's easy for you ladies is to get sexual interactions, but when it comes to long-term relationships, it's a little bit more complex, right? And so what happens is that you need to have a broader range of who you're willing to be with versus a small, little, minuscule, type of guy that, is hardly around or just doesn't exist. Because what's going to happen is you're going to keep chasing this fantasy, till forever, and then nothing's going to happen. So if you're like, okay, he needs to be 6 feet, you prefer that, but you'll take a guy who's 5'10", 5'11", or whatever, right? You're like, oh, he has to make 6 figures. He has to make this amount of money. Okay, I get that. But how about a guy who just has a good job and he's making decent money? You understand what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is this, is that the more realistic you get, the better your chances of finding what you want. And the better chances of you getting that. Because let's say, for example, the fantasy guy is 6 foot, super, super ripped, rich, all this other stuff. He's like, that dude is the guy. Right? Now, because that guy is the guy, most women want that guy, and therefore there's more competition, and therefore he has no incentive in a lot of cases to just be with you. But your ego wants to tell you that he just wants to be with you, or that he will just want to be with you, versus the guy who's 5'10", has a good job, and is a cool guy who would love to have you, but you're still chasing the 6 foot jacked rich guy. Because that's the one you want to be your boyfriend or your husband or whatever. And I get it. Like if a woman had to choose between the 6 foot guy and he's like, he's rich and he's looks good and he's charming and all that other stuff, and you have another guy right here who's 5'8", 5'9", regular job and whatever, and both of them wanted to be with you, of course you're going to choose probably the 6 foot guy, right? I get it. But the problem is that it's not realistic. Let me flip this so you ladies will understand what I'm saying before I wrap this up. You know what I'm saying? Just so I want you to get it. Imagine if, and I think I talked about this before, imagine if men, right, when it comes to us having sex, had this idea of this fantasy woman that we're only going to have sex with her. See, when men have sex with women, we settle. Meaning we want to have sex with the Beyoncés, the Kim Kardashians. You understand what I'm saying? We want to have sex with the girls that we think are the hottest girls. You understand what I'm saying? But what happens is when a guy goes out to a club, to a bar, he meets women and all this other stuff. He's like, listen, if I was just to only try to have sex with women who are the Beyoncés and the Kim Kardashians, I'd probably hardly ever have any sex. Because one, I'm not finding that many women out here that look like that. And two, if I do find that woman, you understand, it's only a small amount of women to where the chances of me making that happen on a consistent basis is small. So what does he have to do? He has to settle to get what he wants, which is the sex. But if he's like, oh, I'm only going to have sex with women who look like Kim Kardashian, he's going to have a dry dick. So when you ladies are out here saying, I'm only going to get with a guy who's 6 foot, has, this type of job and this and this and that, you are not going to have a boyfriend. You're not going to get married. You're going to be alone forever. Think about it.